Do you remember things that were around in the 1970s that are no longer around but you wish they were? These are 10 things from the 1970s that have vanished forever. Number 10. Ditto Machines. Who remembers the days when the smell of fresh copies filled a classroom? Yes, that was the magic of the Ditto Machine. This was the time before the photocopiers of today. The Ditto Machine produced a smooth, waxy master sheet thick with ink. The teacher would then wrap it around a drum where a special solvent melted the ink enough to transfer it to the blank paper. The result was purple-inked pages that students sniffed to get high. Sniffing these papers for some minutes before the lesson was almost a ritual. But as much as we love those sheets, the Ditto Machine cannot keep up with the new technology. Xerox machines and laser printers eventually took over, leaving them in the past. Number 9. Secondary smoke everywhere. Back in the 1970s, smoking was everywhere. You could walk into an office, restaurant, or even an airplane to see people smoking. People even smoked in their homes, at work, or even in the car with the windows rolled up. It wasn't only accepted, but the norm. Kids would watch adults light up and would not bat an eye. No one thought much of the dangers of secondhand smoke. It was just a part of life, like disco music. Fast forward to today, things are completely different. We've learned a lot about the dangers of smoking, especially for those who breathe in the smoke without touching the cigarette. Today, smoking indoors is rare, and most people are scared of secondhand smoke. This is a sign of how much things have changed since the 70s. Number 8. Dangerous playgrounds. Let's talk about playgrounds for a minute. In the 1970s, kids became unsatisfied with simple slides and swings. They craved something more adventurous. As a result, the design of the playground started to change. Manufacturers built tall metal structures with ropes, ladders, and all sorts of risky elements. They were not like the regular, safe playgrounds we have today. Even though they were wild and slightly dangerous, kids loved them. For instance, steel swings with sharp edges were common. These swings were like merry-go-rounds that spun so fast that you could barely hold on. At first, parents were unsure about their children's safety, but then they changed their minds. These playgrounds gradually became a menace across America and beyond. Children suffered broken bones and head injuries so much that it got out of hand. Some parents and safety advocates took on the challenge and pushed for change. Thankfully, lawmakers listened, and the most dangerous equipment was out of the playgrounds. We still miss those wild days though. Number 7. TV rabbit ears. Modern TV stars are less adventurous than those of the 1970s. Back then, owning a television meant that you also had a pair of iconic rabbit ears. These metal rods were not decorations, but served as antennas. They were your ticket to unlocking the world of entertainment. You'd twist and turn these ears to adjust them, hoping to catch the clearest picture. Sometimes you wrap them in tinfoil, believing it gives you that extra bit of reception. Even with these efforts, the signal could still be poor. One moment the pictures are clear, at another they're grainy. You keep adjusting until you get the perfect spot, and when you do, you're so excited. Some people also had a revolving TV antenna on the roof that would spin around to the best angle to get the best reception. It made these clunking sounds as it clicked around, which everyone from back then still remembers. Well, this excitement has died down thanks to cable and satellite TV. We won't see TVs with rabbit ears being sold anymore. Number 6. Payphones. The memory of payphones remains evergreen. These coin-operated phones were lifesavers before mobile phones took over. They were installed in booths on street corners, busy malls, or outside gas stations. From the satisfying clink when the quarter fell to the sound of the rotary dialer dialing a number, the few minutes spent there were magical. Whether you were catching up with an old friend or calling your mom, payphones were available to those who needed them. Remember the times when the payphones didn't work? You could barely hear the other person, there was a lot of background noise, and if it was a long-distance call, you always ran out of quarters mid-call. Sometimes you'd wait in line for others to use the phone before you. The waiting line was a problem. Some people never got off the phone and caused arguments. But as mobile phones became popular, they slowly faded away. What's your most memorable experience using a payphone? Before we get to the next thing gone forever, be sure to smash that subscribe button and comment "I subbed" to be entered into our monthly shoutout draw. This week's shoutout giveaway goes to BKB0859 or BK Birch. Thanks for being a part of the family, and let's keep it going. Number 5. Transistor radios and cassette recorders. Years ago, if you wanted to listen to the latest hit, you just needed to tune into your radio. Those who couldn't afford an album or single sat beside their radio with a cassette recorder and their finger on the record button. The wait was a long one. However, when their favorite song finally came on, they hit the record button and recorded it for free. This was the early days of music piracy. Radios weren't just for recording songs, they were a huge part of the home. Families gathered around to listen to shows, news, or trending issues. The sound of the radio tuning across stations is a sound we don't hear today and brings back happy memories. Radios were a huge part of the 1970s magic. Even though radios still exist today, they're less popular than they used to be. Number 4. Gas station lines. Imagine it's early morning and you're still sleepy, but hop into your car to the nearest gas station. You still need to wait in the long queue when you get there. Gas shortage was a problem in the 70s, caused mainly by OPEC and the Iranian Revolution. Everyone was trying to beat the rush, but no matter how early you arrived, you still ended up in that long, annoying queue. Drivers had to plan their week around when they could get gas. It got so bad that gas was rationed based on license plates. If your license plate ended in an odd number, you could only fill up on odd number days. And then these stations had flags in front. Green meant that they had gas, and yellow meant rationing. The red meant that you were out of luck. People drove slower to conserve fuel, knowing how difficult it was to get more. The 70s was a time of panic and patience. Some people got into heated arguments if they cut in front of each other, and there was one reported incident of a person pulling out a gun when he was told he could not get gas that day, due to the number on his license plate. I bet you don't miss those days. Number 3. Hitchhiking. Hitchhiking was a rite of passage, especially along the West Coast. It was normal to see teenagers and college students throw their thumbs out looking for a free ride. They moved from point A to point B and made new friends while at it. The freedom of the open road and a chance to meet new people made the ride fun. Hitchhiking meant that you trusted strangers enough to hop into their car. One of our viewers used to hitchhike when he was only 13 years old, only because he couldn't afford a plane ticket back home. While this was thrilling, it came with some risk. As more young people hit the roads, the dangers increased. Stories of hitchhiking gone wrong became popular, especially for young women. As a result, they were worried about their safety. Today, this form of transportation is less appealing. People now watch their backs more than ever. Did you used to hitchhike? Number 2. Selfies and photo booths. In the 1970s, capturing the perfect moment with friends was challenging. Today, you can whip out your smartphone for a quick selfie. But that wasn't the case. 70s children walked up to a photo booth where they squeezed into a tiny, cramped space and drew the curtain closed. They laughed hard as the machine clicked away. The camera would then flash 3 to 4 times, and boom, the camera captured the moment. There were no retakes, filters, or hundreds of tries to get the perfect shot. If your eyes were closed or you laugh in between shots, it was permanent. And if you're not satisfied with the results, feed the machine more coins and try again. The best part of photo booths was their unpredictability. There is a lot to expect from a simple photo shoot. Number 1. No stranger danger. The world used to be a safer and friendlier place. The idea of stranger danger was unheard of in the 1970s. Kids roamed the neighborhood without a second thought, and the concept that an unfamiliar face meant harm was uncommon. Instead, children greeted strangers with curiosity and struck up conversations with random adults they had never met. Whether it was a neighbor down the street or a friendly face at the park, it was not a problem. Parents were not bothered about their children talking to strangers. They were calm. That was when the world was safer, and everyone was unaware of the risks. The era was a time of trust and freedom, with only a thin line between a friend and a stranger. That wouldn't happen today, though. We seem to be more scared than ever. What's your fondest memory from the 1970s? Please tell us in the comments below.